My driver's license expires next month. But that's not what kept me awake all night. Last Saturday, my son asked me a question that completely caught me off guard. We were standing right by the front door. He was putting on his shoes, getting ready to leave. He looked up at me, tried to sound totally casual, and said, "Dad, when you cross the street these days, do your legs still keep up with the traffic lights?" I froze. I didn't answer right away, not because I was offended, but because for the first time in my life, I understood what he was actually asking. My son hadn't driven all the way across town just to visit his old man. He was conducting a quiet inspection. He was looking at me, trying to figure out if I was still capable of managing my own life, or if I was slowly turning into a burden he would have to carry. That night, I barely slept. I just lay there in the dark, replaying those words over and over again. The next morning, while making my coffee, a harsh realization hit me. There are 6 things our adult children notice about us long before we notice them ourselves. 6 quiet, invisible signs that tell them we are slowly losing our independence. The third one on this list actually made me feel a deep sense of shame. Look, when you're 75, you don't look for sympathy anymore. But if you're watching this and you're quietly holding on to your last bit of dignity, just know you're not alone in this quiet house. Let's talk about the first sign. The first sign is something as simple as a single dirty dish left in the sink. My son walked into my kitchen for a glass of water. He saw one lone dish and a pair of chopsticks sitting in the sink from my lunch. Now, I live alone. I figured I'm just going to use them again for dinner anyway, so why wash them right away? It seemed efficient. But through my son's eyes, it told a totally different story. It whispered that Arthur was getting lazy, that he didn't even have the energy to keep his own home clean. It's funny how an old man's mind works. I spent 40 years running a factory, managing hundreds of people. But last week, I couldn't even negotiate with a single white ceramic plate. The second thing is even more subtle. Later that afternoon, my son was helping me bring in the fresh laundry from the balcony. He accidentally bumped into a plant pot, and some dry dirt spilled onto the floor. I immediately squatted down to scoop it up. But my lower back and my knees were so stiff, the movement looked completely awkward, like a broken robot trying to bend over. My son grabbed my arm right away. "Dad, don't worry, stop, I'll get it." He was trying to be kind, but I caught his eye, and I saw that quick flash of worry on his face. In that moment, it wasn't just dirt on the floor. It was a giant red flag exposing my physical decline. But that still wasn't what worried him the most. The third thing is something almost every older adult does, and we all pretend we don't notice it. We completely ignore the dust in high places and the broken light bulbs. The wall light in the corner of my living room had been broken for 3 whole months. I never changed it. I just habitually sat on the brighter side of the room. My son noticed it, grabbed a chair and fixed it in 2 seconds. When that light flashed on, I didn't feel grateful. I felt completely exposed. The truth is, I hadn't forgotten about the light bulb. My subconscious was just terrified of climbing the ladder. I was compromising with my environment because of fear. I wonder, do your children also look at you with that same heavy, silent worry? Tell me how you handle that look, because frankly, I'm still trying to figure it out. The fourth thing hurts the most. The old belongings we refuse to move. On my living room cabinet sat my late wife's old thermos from when she was sick, and her final book, with the bookmark still stuck on page 142. It had been 5 long years. I hadn't moved them a single millimetre. I told myself it was devotion. But yesterday, I finally took that old thermos, washed the dust off, and put it inside the lower cabinet. The book is back on the shelf now. Her handwriting on the inside cover is still there. But the room finally feels like it belongs to the present. The fifth thing is a silent trap, shrinking our lives out of pure habit. I realized my daily routine had shrunk down to almost nothing. I went to the grocery store, and then I spent the rest of the day buried in the living room sofa with the TV on. I didn't want to move. I didn't even pull open the curtains. I was living in a dark, quiet box. Before my son left, he walked over and pulled every single curtain wide open. The bright sunlight actually hurt my eyes. That was the moment I understood. It isn't always the number of your age that makes you old. It's allowing yourself to get comfortable with isolation and laziness. From that day on, I made a strict rule. Every single morning, I walk to the balcony, open every curtain, and let the fresh air in. When the house gets bright, your spine automatically straightens up a little bit. If these small reflections are helping you protect your dignity, please subscribe to the channel right now. On this channel, we don't do cheap, meaningless motivation. We just talk about how an old-timer can live freely, with true confidence, without bowing their head to anyone. Finally, I discovered the sixth thing, and this one brought tears to my eyes. It's not the dirty dish. It's not the dusty lights. It's not the old clothes. The thing that truly keeps our children awake at night is the silent question they ask themselves every time they open our front door. Is my dad, the man who used to be my hero, still capable of taking care of himself? This past weekend, my son came over again. He walked through the door, and out of pure habit, his eyes immediately scanned the kitchen and the balcony. But this time, the dishes were done. The plants were thriving. Every single curtain was open, and the house was flooded with light. I watched his face closely. That tense, inspecting look suddenly disappeared from his eyes. His entire shoulders dropped. He let out a deep breath he didn't even know he was holding. He walked over, clapped me on the shoulder, and smiled. "Dad," he said, "you look really sharp today." In that moment, I understood. Our children don't need us to be perfect, ageless superheroes. They just need to see that their father is still the master of his own life. At 75, I've realized my greatest success isn't protecting my bank account. It's making sure that when my son walks out of that front door, he doesn't feel the need to look back at the windows to see if I'm okay. He just starts his car and drives home. That's the real freedom. That's the real freedom. I'm Arthur. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.